Testing. Hello, hello. Let the sausages, the Valhalla sausages, roll on in. For a change, we can have some European sausages instead of the American sausages. If you don't know what the sausage meme is on my channel, vanilla sausages is one of my catchphrases when it comes to modern production in rock and metal. Sounds like one long vanilla sausage. Do do do. Come in, come. Come on. Got my Eurotrash, my Germans, my Brits, my fellow Welshmen. Any Welshmen in the chat? Welsh as fuck I am in it. Terrible. You, Luke Starling, you prefer a Cumberland sausage? Me too. Let me, that's one of the things being a Brit living in America. Oh, did one of my lights go out? No. Have you tried to find a British sausage in America? It's impossible. It's impossible. Every goddamn sausage in America is fucking spicy or super the typical breakfast sausage, which is just basically a salt bomb. You should have seen my mother-in-law and my wife's face when they had British sausages. It's like the old meme where they can't handle the blandness of British food, but you cannot beat a good pork sausage. I swear, if I started a pork sausage empire in the USA that has good old fashioned pork sausages, I'd make a killing. There's so many British people over here. You're in America? I'm at, what is it, like 5 a.m.? It's coming up to 5 a.m. here. The reason I'm so late, my time, because I'm in the like 4 a.m. or whatever, is because my AC went out and I live in Florida. So doing it during regular hours, I'm just a sweaty mess. So can't be done. It's like 90 degrees in my house during the peak of the day. So that's animal cruelty, especially if you're more rotund. Luke, I took sausages on a plane to Poland for a barbecue. Oh my god. I get it, man. I get it. I've had a lot of people smuggle stuff over for me that I've been missing. What was the last thing that I had brought over for me? Lamb Navy rum. So Lamb's Navy rum was the last thing I had. Some contraband brought over for me from the UK. Lincoln, Lincolnshire sausages. What's the difference between a Cumberland and a Lincoln sausage? Hey, Christoph. How's it going, man? From Stuttgart. Yeah, we got my Eurotrash. We got my dark, cold Nordic brothers. Lamb Navy rum, yeah. That was uh that was my jam. Why is my exposure going so dark? Hello? There it is. I'm having lots of trouble. Like I just started streaming. I'm having so much trouble with unexplainable things. Like look at the background in my video right now. How is that even possible? I don't have any tracking enabled. I don't even have autofocus on. And why is my whole thing moving when it's static? I think it might be my capture card. So who knows? What's up with that? All right, I don't trust my multi-stream software when it comes to chat, so I'm going to open up my own channel. Do. Oh, there I am. I've got to turn the volume down. Yeah, Annette, I don't know what the hell's going on with my lights. The lights aren't dimming. It's just my camera is trying to focus. So maybe it's because I'm so metal that I am the darkness, you know? Henfur. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how many people pop in, since it's like the morning time in Europe with my channel. Because when I usually, just from circumstances, I can't stream until like 10 p.m. my time. And that's not ideal, you know, if I want eyeballs on my channel. So it'd be interesting to see how much interaction this gets. Even though, like, my channel is losing subscribers. It's pretty fun. I don't care, though. Kind of want to... That's why I'm starting to stream on Twitch, things like that. I kind of want to get away from YouTube a little bit. So if it dies, it dies. I just don't like... politically, I don't like what YouTube does. Skulls. Because I am the darkness. So what's crack-a-lacking, people? Any gossip? Luke Starlin. I'm at work, so I'm a captive audience. Yeah. Hinfir! I'm going to be a dad in a few months. Should I say goodbye to my guitars? I am actually like the typical new dad, where it's like, oh, magically, after being a dad for a couple of years, I'm magically selling all my gear. So I'm only doing that, really. There's a few reasons why I'm selling everything. Almost everything. I'm keeping my preciouses. All this is going. This Fender is going. Most of Racky Gervais, all my rack stuff is going. So I'm selling a lot of my gear because I wanted to be a post-production producer. And since the theme of most of my channel is rock and metal is dead, why would I invest in something which I truly believe is going the way of jazz, you know? There are more musicians than ever, there's more rock and metal musicians than ever, but the general public literally hate modern rock and metal production. So I'm one of the only people on YouTube, especially in the YouTube metal forum, that rallies against modern production in rock and metal. And I think really at its core is there's a gene in rock and metal fans. There's a specific type of urge that they want to hear in the music, right? Now, what is modern production in rock and metal? 99% of it. Snap to a grid, drum replacement. So you're not actually hearing the real drummer. You're hearing the drum machine. Essentially, you're hearing the drum machine. And even though drum replacement is often blended in with the live drums, it's still not the drummer you're hearing. It's not the stick, it's not the head, it's not the room, it's not the actual drum itself, it's not the stance. It's most of it, or what you're hearing, is a completely different drummer who's hitting the drum like Thor's hammer, and then you got you tippy tapping and hitting everything out of the park as if it's just bringing the fury when you're bringing the tippy tappy, right? Also, the bass, modern bass production has the bass with they add a huge amount of distortion to the bass to cover out all the frequencies, right? So what have you got? You got drum machines, you got virtual bass synths, often as the guitars, with the low tuning, and the bass has been turned into, we can't hear the bass, you can just hear its frequencies, all right? Which are, because mostly guitarists are controlling the reins of practically all, the guitar nerds are practically the ones that are recording everyone. So you have more in common with EDM and disco than you do rock and metal. So why is nobody talking about it? Why is nobody talking about the public hating, not even knowing why they hate it? They just know that they know without knowing that it's fake. So they don't have, they have no idea that it's in perfect time, in perfect sync. They have no idea that it's not the drummer. That I did a video once where I said, should drummers be struck from the record on albums? Because it's not the actual drummer you're hearing, What is going on with my camera? I tell you what. I think lobbyists trying to ruin my stream every time. They've infiltrated my camera and they're trying to stop me from spreading the vanilla sausage truth. So the reason rock and metal fans have abandoned modern rock and metal is because it's more akin to the music that they didn't like, that drove them to the swampy, darker themed. It's just like, it just does not compute with them. So and nobody's talking about it. All the producers, all the big metal producers, none of them have had a big hit. None of them have had a big hit for maybe 20 years. Ironically, the last hits they were having was when they were going to tape. When drum shenanigans weren't quite as prevalent, They were still drum gating and all sorts of stuff they were doing that were fake. You should hear the drums on like classics like Whiplash, like the band Whiplash. If you listen to the snare on Ticket to Mayhem, it's kind of like Clown Show of how obvious that is not the snare that you're hearing. It sounds, so they've obviously gated and had some sort of sample hitting the snare for most of the album, right? It's the same sound too for most of the snare hits. So even the classics, the underground classics, often did a lot of cheating, but it's not the same as today where it's all of it is just snapped to a grid and fake amps, fake bass. Even the successful producers, right? Let's talk about modeling, all right? You have modeling with VSTs, right? What are the VSTs mostly modeled on? Practically all of them are modeled on close micing, all right? On 12-inch speakers, on specific speakers. It's going to be a vintage 30 or a greenback, even though vintage 30s and greenbacks could be literally 30 different speakers. Because when you talk about a greenback, there's been so many of them over the years of different frequencies, different magnets, you know what I mean? Different wattage ratings. Was it made in China? Was it made in England? Was it a Mesa vintage 30? Or was it a made in England Mesa? Or was it a made in England vintage 30? Or was it a Chinese vintage 30? Or was it the original vintage 30 that came out? The vintage? You know what I mean? When you say vintage 30, it could be, what ohms is it? Do the ohms sound different from one to the other when it's receiving power differently? So, and they're all these VSTs, you're trapped within frequencies. You cannot get out of the frequencies of a VST. You get no surprises like you do with analog. With analog stuff, you can stand in the room and you get sweet spots within the room. I'm doing a video soon. Soon I'm doing a live tone recreation of Gary Moore and Thin Lizzy, right? Could you do this with a VST? Can you, riddle me this? What's one of the most famous solos or hooks in rock? Right? It's Parisian Walkways by Gary Moore. Now, the more famous versions of that are his live versions. People tend to like the live version more than the studio version. And what he would do with his Marshalls is find a sweet spot in the room and mark the floor with an X, right? What is that sweet spot? He's got his Marshalls cranked. Sometimes when he holds a note in Parisian Walkways, it turns into feedback, and it's a beautiful, molten horse of a feedback, right? Sustained, sweet fucking feedback coming from this place where he couldn't, if he walked 5 feet in the other way, he couldn't get that sweet spot, right? Do you have that in VST? Is there a place where you can mark some chalk on the floor to get a sweet spot? Feedback's practically non-existent now in modern metal, you know? It used to be in old Deftones, it used to be, the actual... there's so much terrible information from huge rock and metal YouTubers, right? I saw one guy, and he's got like hundreds of thousands of subs, and he was trying to tell his audience that there's no difference between a hollow body telly and a regular telly. Now, what that tells me is he's always been a bedroom musician. If you have a semi-hollow telly, right? When you're in front of a really loud amp, the music and the sound pressure messes with the acoustic aspect of the guitar, and it will cause it howling feedback compared to a regular telly if you're standing in front of it, right? So you like semi-acoustics, they are pretty famous for having sometimes a low feedback, like a really low whistling feedback. So it just tells me that even the guys that are experienced, they have no experience of actual analog sound coming at them because they're in front of their computer, and no shit, if they got their headphones on and there's nothing coming through the speaker, no shit, the telly's going to sound the same, practically the same, if it's a semi-acoustic. But they have no experience of what actual fucking volume and rock and, the oomph that you get from all that sonic pressure. So I know because it's so easy in a DAW to record, we're thinking that that's good. I did videos on Slayer, and you have Jeff Hanneman waxing lyrical about this new studio that he put together, which makes life easier for him, and it was Pro Tools. From that day on, Slayer did fuck all when it came to recording good albums that people were loving, It was when he was complaining about how often they had to rehearse and how they got the bones of the music, and everybody had to be on board for that. It's so much easier for him to write all his riffs and everything to Pro Tools. You can chop it up, it doesn't have to be perfect, this, that, and the other. And while he's saying that this is a good thing, it practically killed his band's success after that. Nobody's talking about it. So the DAW is awesome as a sketch pad, it's something that you can write with when you're sketching out your music. But if you follow the modern production fucking ABCs, like all the other YouTube bots, nobody's going to like your music. I'm talking from personal experience, because I am, wasted my life tone chasing and learning how to record and use a DAW. And by the time I'd finally cracked it and I thought, I'm starting to sound good, that was when it dawned on me, it's like nobody really likes this style of production anyway. you know? So that's just me. Regulars to my channel are used to that. But I think that Gary Moore thing with the X on the floor of how to get a sweet spot, things like that, which, how do you get that level of feedback using the VST with your headphones on? It's like, Jesus Christ. But the big problem is doing it the way that I think others should do it. It's so expensive. It's so exhausting. And even then, even when you have the right people in the room, it can still be a pile of shit. I mean, Testament tried to re-record one of I think it was their debut album, because they didn't like how it sounded, even though it's fucking amazing in my opinion. And they did it. They re-recorded it, and it's so vanilla sausage. It's so like bereft of any pissed off aggression, youthful, exuberance. It just sucked the life out of that album. And that's them with experience and, being better musicians and having better people in the studio. And, you can't bottle that. So sometimes even when you try and do it again, it's not good. Because who did the Mindfunk? I think their second album, Mindfunk's second album, is live, practically live, the whole thing. And it kind of falls flat. So it's not like a magic bullet that you have to do it the old school way, but for live it's really good. But Testament did I think Practice What You Preach is mostly live too. Let's see what's going on in chat. Do. Oh, can you guys hit like as well? I think that helps my ranking and such. Oh, we got some Twitch people. Hello from Japan. Hey man, how's it going? Sazuka. Baby metal is famous in Japan. Yeah, baby metal is ironically, I say rock and metal is dead. It's mostly the gimmick and the joke bands that are actually killing it, So you have baby metal, who I actually recently came to respect, because I've always respected the musicians behind it. The drummer and the guitarist live were great. He died, the main guitarist I liked. But they are going on tour with another joke band, Death Clock, from Metalocalypse. And they are coming out with a new movie. I'm so stoked. So I think Death Clock, I think their riffs are so underrated, man. They're so good. A little bit vanilla sausage, but it's more of a the production is kind of sketchy, and I like that. I like the fact that it reminds me of 90s DAW music. It was that type of stuff. Even though you have big producers and amazing drummers, you got the atomic clock on drums, and a really good bass player. But where I saw Death Clock and they blew Mastodon off the fucking stage. So it's funny that the joke bands like Baby Metal, like Steel Panther, like Ghost, like Death Clock are blowing off serious bands off the stage, especially the new young bands, Because I often say when people question me, I say, rock and metal isn't dead. I just say, name me the teenage, early 20s Guns N' Roses, Metallica, Queen, name me the AC/DC, name me those bands that give you hope for the future when it comes to normies. In the world of normies, rock and metal is completely dead. If you mention whatever 22-year-old they have on the cover of Guitar World, you could ask 20,000 people in the street, who is this? And they wouldn't know who it is, let alone hum a tune, you know? But anyway, good to see you in Twitchland in Japan. Obviously, my chat bot died again, so I'm just going to refresh this. Let's go to my backup chat. Luke Starlin, bring back the JCM 800. This thing, favorite amp of all time. And just to be a, you know, a neckbeard, just to be a nerd, gear nerd, specifically 1979 to 1983 JCM 800s. You got the vertical inputs, good to go, bro. There's just, you know, there's 5% difference between, you know, reissues and that type of thing, but there's something about those old ones, man. Holy shit, they were good. Mine is a home build, but it's with vintage capacitors and resistors. Even my knobs and kind of new old stock, better quality. I have a Marin transformer. I have vintage tubes. You know, neckbeards come up to me, and I got pure tone jacks on the output. I know what I'm doing. My knees hurt. I just made a handmade, hand-stitched leather handle for a friend's mess ahead. That's cool. I do love me a bit of leather work, man. I have a really nice strap. My dad was in a band called Badfinger, and I have a really nice strap of the previous band he was in called the Ivies, and it was handmade, and it has the Ivies like embossed on there somehow. It's such a nice strap. So I really admire that type of stuff. GH. Exodus does the same with Bonded by Blood. What do you mean? Do you mean recording it live in a room, or did they re-record it? I can't remember if they did re-record it. Rant132, a Bagura knockoff of Marshall is only $600. Yeah, unfortunately, the Bagura chose to do JCM 900 and also put different power tubes in there. But it does sound good. I had one. Fucking heavy. The thing is huge. But it's a good amp. They go for dirt cheap used. So if you can find a Bagura something 900, I don't know what it is, but it's a damn good amp. It's a damn good amp. And you can pick them up for $250 used. What did I swap mine for? I sold mine recently for cheap. My knees hurt. First Testament album is killer. First Exodus, first Metallica, etc. Yep. I mean, what happened when Metallica went... all of their stuff now is vanilla sausage. Everything new, you know? And Kirk Hammett has quietly quit. Luke Starlin, I love early Manowar albums, raw as anything. I remember Manowar, I think at one time, held the world record for being the loudest rock act. The Dead End Collective. I have never enjoyed music more than I do right now. I'm 55 years old and hated the old sound. Could not care less how much they compress, etc. While you're in a minority, you know, it's... when everything is huge, nothing is huge. You know, it's good for the impact of the first few minutes, but when it comes to the public, when it comes to specifically metal, they're all listening to the old shit, the streaming records and everything. They're all still listening to the old stuff. So it's like you're special. Let's put it that way. You are a vanilla sausage. And why not, you know? Martin Ladd. Best not to regard time as wasted, in my opinion. Past experience feeds into what you're doing now. Yeah, but you know, rock and metal is mostly a young person's game. So it's like I'm 51 now. So I honestly see a lot. This is just me, right? And I'm being ageist. But when I see old people on stage rocking out and stuff, I'm like, it kind of gives me an ick. I'm I'm so desperate. Like I talked about, where are the 19-year-olds? Where are the early 20s? I'm so desperate for some golden gods to come back. I'm so sick of these fat neckbeards representing rock and metal. Guitar nerds, we're never in the best shape, you know? I'm trying to get in shape. And kind of backfired because I haven't been able to move for the past 10 days, where I completely fucked my neck and my back up. Because I'm old. Matthew Randall. Was the Testament reference the first Strike Still Deadly one of 2000? Yep. That's right. Rant 137, it was the Infinium 1960 and 1990 and the G20. Yeah, I had the 1960, I think. I don't think mine was the Infinium version, but there's not much. People say that one's way better than the other, but Bugera had a really bad rap early on, and then I think they're one of the good companies when it comes to rectifying issues they had in the past, because everything recently has been pretty damn solid. I also had their 5150 clone, which is almost spot on. It's just like, it's not as good with when you use their stack or their combo, because their speakers are trash. But if you put, I always used to just put, I used to go out into a regular cabinet, and then it sounded practically like a 5150. It's really cool. Yeah, you can't go wrong with Bagheera. You really can't. It's just like, never scrimp on the speakers is my advice. I know modern production Celestians don't sound as good as the old ones. Because of manufacturing, you can't actually use a lot of the like horse glue and certain stuff. Their old cones would blow now if you put a 9-string through them. You know what I mean? So there are benefits for the new stuff, but tonally, they can't even make it. They can't even make a greenback like they used to, because there'd be too many returns. Rant 137. The red knockoff Plexi has a Randy Rhodes mod, and the circuit's stacked on an input, so no jumper cable needed. That's cool. Chronic Things. What do I think about new metal and core? Are they metal? I think new metal and core was the start of the downfall of metal, because metal core, Kill Switch Engage, that type of thing. I know there was a few bands before them, but they broke the scene to make it not as big as new metal. You know, new metal was the peak of the last guitar based genre. New metal, you could not get bigger than it. Housewives knew Limp Bizkit. Housewives knew, you know, a lot of the new metal bands, because you couldn't get them out of culture in general. No matter what channel you were on, you know, Fred Durst would pop up. Lights. So, but with metalcore started, metalcore and melodeath started the integration of the vanilla sausage. It started guitar nerds. I mean, you could not get away from people obsessing over a lot of the people that were into Carcass with, you know, Heartwork and Killswitch Engage and that type of thing, all of the Andy Sneap forums, all Amp Forum, all Huge Racks, all the hubs where metal musicians came started getting overtaken with nerds, guitar nerds, right? And what were guitar nerds doing? Obsessing over gear, mic placement, Friedman techniques, what speakers was used, what microphone, what producer, what pedals, what pickups, what strings. They were focusing on that instead of songwriting. All right, what they didn't take from Killswitch Engage was, holy shit, that's an amazing chorus. Hello, it's a good chorus, amazing hooks. None of that. It was just the tone and the sound. So nu metal had a lot of hooks, a lot of memorable riffs, a lot of memorable choruses, roll and roll and roll, and just stuff that, you know, normies could wave a beer to. But because of the transition to metalcore and then deathcore, that's when guitar nerds started killing rock and metal. Because guitar nerds are the if I could point at one aspect of the death of rock and metal, which stems from everything from corporatism to the live scene being no downtown bars, no places to play, it's too expensive to rehearse, there's you know, gas prices from going on mini tours. It's all just so expensive to do it the old way. But the biggest thing that killed rock and metal is the guitar nerd, me. A lot of you guys in the chat has probably wasted a lot of time looking at channels like mine, finding out about tone, chug, what can do this, what's good for down tuning, what's the, you know, thal. And it's just turned into one long, at the same time, everybody Googled how to do it and they all became each other because they Googled the same information, you know? So it killed rock and metal. Just from concentrating on genre and production. How can I blow you away? Also, too much riffing, you know, too many riffs. Because it should be the song. It should be the actual song that counts as a whole. Bass, vocals, drums, guitar. More importantly, the vocals, the lyrics, the hooks, the choruses, you know, just to make it moreish. But everybody got obsessed with guitar. And guitarists were the most likely to know how to use the DAW, the most likely to know how to set up cameras and, you know, become YouTubers. So it's the nerds that fucked us up. I keep saying it, Lemmy would not be a thing today. We can't have a Lemmy, because Lemmy is not going to buy a laptop. Lemmy's not, you know, Lemmy was born in, he was a roadie for fucking seminal artists that were playing every night. There's nobody playing every night around London in rock and metal now, you know? It's like, so you can't actually get a Lemmy today. And Lemmy went on to influence thrash, black metal, the lot, you know? Extreme metal. So Lemmy's the godfather of extreme metal, in my opinion. So yeah, another win, like Black Sabbath invented metal, right? There's lots of other bands, but nobody made the splash. You need eyeballs to create metal, and they got the eyeballs on this heavy music, right? You know, Deep Purple kind of grew a little bit, but it's Black Sabbath, right? They were playing before the album, right? They had all of their songs done before they recorded that debut, and they were so sick of playing them. They knew them like the back of their hand. They went into the studio, recorded the thing in one day, and mixed it in another day, 2 days, and it was done. The whole album. What is that? That's rehearsed. That's the chaos theory of the band being in the same room with mic bleed. Timing isn't snapped to a grid. Hello, lights. See, I mentioned Black Sabbath and the darkness descends. And it's like seminal, and it's still listenable today. It's still heavy today. And there's the band atmosphere too. The bass, what would it be if it was just the riffs? Nothing. The bass, the drums are heavy as fuck. You know, you have Ozzy is just a presence, and his voice is so original. You know, you don't hear any original singers these days. You've got boy bands and screaming, fucking 90% of it. You know, and black metal anguished screams in the forest ad nauseum. You know, so it's another win for what makes rock and metal production glorious. You know, it's not snap too great. All right, I'm behind on the chat. Sorry. All right. Just excuse me. My knees hurt. There's a lot of salt on your sausage, man. Salty. Me being salty is a fucking understatement. Fucking understatement. I am disgusted. Yeah, no shit, dude. GH, post something and post for every genre. Yeah. Yeah. Post, I actually make a joke about progressive being post progressive. Because it's, how can you be after the future progressive but post progressive? That's what nobody ever gets it, but it's my little inside joke about progressive not being progressive, you know, copying each other. Strymon, fucking boy band vocals, screamed, then sung, repeated, you know, glitches, bass drops. Oh, so progressive. You heard it 1,000 fucking times. Oh, what's that? A jazz solo. Oh my god, I've never heard a jazz style solo over progressive music before. Fuck off. Apple Garden, hey man, how's it going? Christoph asks, watched Cole's channel for a while until it all became too digital for me. Don't know how fragments of Unbecoming managed to sound not sterile recording there. Yeah. I mean, these channels, they've their own music, they can never get traction when it comes to numbers, you know? Chilsey, hey Owen, greeting from Australia. And hey, I've thought a few Aussie cunts will be out there. What's missing in today's rock and metal is the live performance. I agree. Apple Garden, I am working on my Sausage Fiesta one-man band. Yeah, dude. You, along with fucking 80% of the other bands that are out there. Luke Sterling, I love the production of Bathory's Hammerheart. So heavy, but so simple. Yeah. Heaven Show Studio, I think that was they basically a garage that they tracked into a studio. The funny thing about Bathory, I kind of make fun of it because, you know, black metal, the black metal guitar sound is Bathory was practically that, right? And where did it come from? Where's the bones of the darkest, most hardcore music come from? It came from Bathory being good little boys using direct recording because they didn't want their neighbors to complain. Let me repeat. The black metal sound, guitar sound, is born from Bathory being good little boys and being quiet when they record. And that sums it up about how fake the the mythos is behind black metal, you know. That's why I still maintain that Bathory and Hellhammer are the actual. I say, in my opinion, Hellhammer are the fathers of true black metal, not the second wave, which was copycats, you know. But yeah, isn't that funny? The black metal guitar sound, it's not going out of its way to be like nasty and chainsawy. It's like they were just being nice for the neighbors. I love it, man. My Hughes note. Surely there are bands out there that are not doing what you're saying, recorded live. Yeah, some bands are, but it's such a like catching lightning in a bottle when it comes to doing it that way. It's so hard just to get it right, you know. So it's nobody said it was easy. Like what was the Alanis Morissette, right? They her hit was it was Foo Fighters Taylor on drums. You had Flea on bass, and you had I can't remember who the guitarist was, but he's a good guitarist. Grooving out live. Now Alanis Morissette's the um, and I'm here to remind you how that was fucking rocking out. It was things like that where we saw you can't really remember what guitar riffs are on that, can you? Because it was the whole band being a gestalt entity, you know. It's it is a lot of it's luck. A lot of it's luck. Getting doing the recording the bones of the tracks. It's a lot of luck, man. Luke Sterling, I have a Marshall English V30 in my Mesa cab. That's funny. Yeah. Because even though technically the Mesa Vintage 30s are made in England, they're not, they sound a little bit darker than the England ones. And personally, I prefer the Mesa England Vintage 30 because that little chintzy upper spike in the mids, it kind of tames it just a little bit. My knees hurt. Why don't you record some bands analog? Because nobody's got money, nobody's got the skill to actually record live. It's a dying art. So yeah, I was going to be a pre-production producer where if you have an album from a large band, right? Traditionally, they do pre-production before the album, and I will be the guy that they go to hash out the songs, record the demos, and get the bones of the tracks. So they, by the time they get in the studio, they'll be nailed it. They'll be dialed in to record live. So most of the classic albums from the past had serious pre-production before. My knees hurt. My PV says it's 200 watt solid state. It's goddamn loud and does not sound good. Just loud as fuck. Yeah, the wattage thing is, you know, can be a wattage versus tube wattage can be a bit, not even a bit, usually completely off. Rant 137. Part of Ted Nugent's sound is his Birdland thin wood. That's interesting. Just going through comments. Please chat amongst yourselves. Hit that like, hit that subscribe if you haven't. Hit the bell. The Dead End Collective grew up with Magnum, Marillion, Sabbath, Lizzie as a teenager. These days, a lot of Melodeath and Industrial. Industrial is one of the ones where I'm surprised it hasn't taken off more, because at the end of the day, a lot of that was Snap to a Grid. So you'd expect us to be in a fucking golden age of industrial metal. And, oh my God, I'm sweating. It's so hot in here. No AC in Florida, brother. Yeah, and speaking of Marillion, I was in a band called Season's End, thrash band, fucking good thrash band too. And for our age, we were like 17, 18. And we were named after a Marillion album, Season's End. Oh, Kaylee. Henfear. After you challenged us to find a young new metal band, I finally started to despair. I just can't find anything like that. Isn't it hard? There's been a couple that have had pop rock hits, recently. Cactus McJactus. Best opening line of any stream. Bring back the JCM 800. Amen. Dead End Collective. Since I am Welsh, remember when Budgie with the new Rush for 5 minutes? Yeah. Budgie, they kind of were heavily influenced by... My back is killing me, sorry. They were heavily influenced by Sabbath. I mean, even when you see... The guitarist practically looked like a clone. But... my back. I'm getting old, brother. If you don't know, I slipped a disc recently. Budgie were, in my opinion, a one album band where they captured the magic I keep on talking about. But solid fucking Welsh boys. Rest in peace. Luke Starlin. I love the inconsistencies of the 2203, 2204s. Some are fire breathers, whilst others are super clean. Yeah, especially the early JMPs of the 2203s. They were super, just a little bit warmer than the JCM 800s that came. A little bit warmer, but such a chunk. And not, like, no way could you get it to really distort. Yeah, there were inconsistencies of the 2203s. Oh, GH re-recorded? Okay. Dude, I don't even remember Exodus re-recording it. That's how... Does that prove my point, or what? We're talking about when bands have had classic albums, like Testament, re-recorded their first album, and it was a vanilla sausage fucking snooze fest. I guess Exodus did the same with Bonded by Blood. Exodus, for me, Pleasures of the Flesh. All day. All day. That album had so much vibe. So much vibe. Fucking killer. Christoph S. I got John Baker's own custom richer leather strap, and he sold it to me. Nice. Connected online, rock and metal are old guys music, it seems. Yeah, there's a few pockets of youth that are into new metal. There's been a new metal resurgence when it comes to young people, and so but it's even the new metal bands are starting to creak. I mean, there were some memes going out about how fucking terrible Durst looked for a while, remember? Before he got back into shape, and he looked like just completely grey and fat and weird, and then he kind of embraced it, dressing up as a dad on stage. I'm gonna have to tap out. I'm fucking sweating bullets. Sweating bullets. Frank Moss, what kind of amp does Richard Sensor use in his YouTube videos? Shit. I don't think he's done them for a while. What do I remember of him using? He used to use Mesa Boogie Power Amp, and I think Mesa preamps back in the day. I might be wrong, but yeah, fucking tight. But what a player, man. My wife introduced me to him because he was a school friend of hers. He was like, oh, do you want to hang out? My friend, he's a guitarist too. I'm like, oh, really? He's a guitarist? Sure. I'm a guitarist, bitch. And then he fucking blew me away. When he's playing, it's like, I can't even play that. Check out his channel, Richard Sensor. And if you search my channel, there's a link to his channel. If you search Circle of Tone and Slipknot, he's playing it, and your fucking jaw will drop. Tight. I wonder what he's up to. I haven't seen him for a couple of months. His daughter hangs out with my daughter now and then, and super cute. Henfer, an important topic I wish there was more talk about: metal lyric writing and songwriting. It doesn't seem like anything even the old gods know how to do anymore. Yeah. Especially Metallica. What the fuck is going on with their songwriting and the lyrics? Ugh. It's like a different person. It's like how, even if he slows down, right? Look, slow riffs like Orion, or what the fuck is going on with his new riffs? It's like he's ripping off fucking Dave Mustaine these days. The early Metallica. It's like, what? I don't get it, man. How can you be that great? And I get it if you can't capture the magic like the early Metallica stuff. But how can you completely forget how to write riffs that are Moorish and so impactful? Fucking weird, man. That's why I said I think the new Metallica album is written by AI. Kind of joking, but I'm kind of like, was it? Miney's here. There are plenty of young people into metal. Relatively, you're wrong. There's plenty of young people into rap. Plenty of young people into country. There's plenty of young people into K-pop. You know, relatively, rock and metal is fucking dead when it comes to the young. So I disagree. So Nuclear Blast has a live YouTube stream. Most people in the chat are younger. Yeah, most people in the chat are younger because they embrace live streaming and YouTube in general more than the old school. The one thing with kids, they're early adopters. That's why a lot of channels like Stevie T and Jared Dines, so why they were really popular, because the kids were the kids that have that gene, the rock and metal gene, they would flock to those channels because they were early adopters, you know. Rant 137, creambacks are okay. Yeah, I said it before. Modern production, the 75-watt creambacks were my favorite of the modern current production of Celestians. So I agree. And what's going to go in this, I'm not sure if you can see it, there's a Marshall cab behind me. It's empty right now. I'm putting in old greybacks, which are practically creambacks, but the old ones. And one of them has an obtainium cone, which is only done for like 3 months. It was only done for a couple of months in the production of Celestian. So I have one of the rarest old school Celestian cones because I am the internet's neckbeard. And it doesn't matter. It don't matter. None of this shit matters. What matters is songwriting and capturing the bones of the music when you record it live. That's what matters. Not gear, not tone, all of it. In fact, people are so fucking sick of good tone. It's like I say, when everything's huge, nothing is huge. So technically, my tone is going to be better than your tone if you're going to dick measure, with everything from my cables to the. You'd laugh if you saw my power cables for amps. You'd laugh at me. They're literally $200. You'd fucking laugh. And before you say they make no difference, you may not have played live before, with all the fucking noise you get through cheap. Not cheap, but poorly constructed power cables. If you ever hear the or radio signals and shit coming through your amp from bad lighting and sketchy power and all the rest of it, you'd be surprised at what good shielding does. Rob Phobos, I think Trey from Morbid Angel did a very fine and unique job. He's the only reason I'm tempted to buy a 7-string. Yeah, he was, him and the drummer of the old Morbid Angel. Holy shit, man. Yeah, apps too. I think sometimes you need a little bit of autism. A little bit of autism to be like one of the greats, you know? I secretly think a lot of my favorite guitarists, like Alex Skolnick and everything, I think some of them are a little bit on the spectrum, if you know what I mean. GH, the famous quest of the Heartwork sound. What a waste of time. Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, Heartwork, outside of the guitar community, it wasn't even a massive album when it comes to sales and, you know, that type of thing, relatively, right? So even though people, so if you get it, congratulations. You're not going to be, you know, you're not going to get the vibe anyway because they recorded that, you know, the old school way. Yeah. So it's funny, and I talked about pre-production earlier. They went on tour with that album before they even recorded it. How fucking punk rock is that? None of the people on that tour even knew what fucking songs they were playing. That is some baller shit, man. So to say that they knew those songs inside out was a fucking understatement. Pre-production. That's way more important than tone chasing. Pre-production. That's why I'm a big proponent of having a band house or a space that you're constantly set up in, so you can do that repetition, repetition, repetition. Let's have a look. But Nettle, good day. How are your ears? I have tinnitus in both of my ears. You are never alone with tinnitus. Apple Garden, what do I think about MPE instrument, etc.? MPE? MPE, what is that? I don't know. I probably know because I'm the internet's neckbeard. But just refresh me so I can pretend I know. Matthew Randall, I think the last best metal records were all around the mid 2000s where 6 strings were still dominant. I still think there's something missing with riff writing when 7 strings became involved. Yeah, with 7 strings, I have a theory on 7 strings or like extended tuning. I have a theory about the songwriting aspect. Is a lot of the mic placements and the tweaking of the audio of the amp for that style, a lot of the emphasis was on the lower string, right? So you'd set up and you chug, 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 set up, tweak, tweak, move the mic, chug, 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 set up, chug, 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 and then you've got your tone, right? The moment you start going up the fretboard, it sounds like nails on a fucking chalkboard. Because now you're all like tight and, you know, mids, and the low end is taken out because, you know, who's going to sit in the fucking mid mix? Yawn. And so you're concentrating on the lower frequencies when you set up. So when your setup is set up like that, when you go up and start playing riffs on, say, the D string or whatever, it's going to sound scratchy as fuck. So that's put people off. That's made sure that a lot of people get stuck on the lower frets. And then there's the Thal meme, which is 001, 001, 001. You know, we have these binary riffs. So it's like, that's where it sounds the best. So then you're not going to venture up here and do a lot of variation. And then obviously the heaviest parts are going to be the open chug breakdown. So then you're in another fucking box of predictable metal. So it all just fucking steamrolls into one fucking modern turd. With no spice. No salt. The Dead End Collective. I'm not sure what your beef is when you say metal is dead. When you say pure songwriting, sure, I can agree to an extent. But on the other hand, there is more than enough. My beef is an understatement. It's we, the guitar nerd, has killed our fucking scene, and I am beyond pissed off. It fucking killed it dead. You'd have to be there in the 80s and early 90s to realize what a fucking behemoth our scene had become. You've all fucking killed it. These forums killed it. I helped kill it. You know, I'm pissed. I'm fucking salty as fuck. I don't care. And it's like, I've given it chance after chance after chance, and sometimes you just got to hold your hands up and say, this is fucking broken. Let's try and fix it. And it's obviously not dead. It's relatively dead compared to where it was back in the day. Herfinder. Cool. This gets into my topic suggestion. No one knows how to write songs. Or is it into writing songs? Yeah, they're not into writing songs. They're not obsessed with writing songs. Nobody's obsessed with writing songs. They're obsessed with fucking tone and production. And how do I sound like, Periphery? My knees hurt. I'm just old and salty. He, as in me. Metal rules more than it ever has. Plenty of great music. Do my test. What young rock and metal band is the Guns N' Roses, the Queen, the AC/DC, the Who, the Metallica of today? Just answer, riddle me that. If it's better than ever. Fucking, you're in a bubble. You're in a bubble. You think your feed that you get is in everybody else's feed, and it's not. It's fucking rap. There's, wet ass pussy in everybody's feed. And Ice Spice and, Rodriguez and Bad Bunny, and that's what's cracking, for good or for bad. And why is that? Because there's sex, drugs, and rock and roll in it. There's the actual thing that's been sucked out of modern rock and metal by us fucking nerds. All you autistic versions. The Zeke 1970, The Darkness have some great classic tones on some of their tunes. Yeah. And then back in that day, that was one of the last bands where like a housewife would know the song, where the normies would know the song, I think I'll love. Ooh, get down. Yeah, Darkness, he has a YouTube channel now, and he's always talking about what makes a great song, and he does amazing points on what made usually older songs. That he looks at the Hives and what does this song bring that is missing in modern music. I think he's a bit easy on the new school. I think he's a little bit trying to fit in, not make enemies, with the new school. But apart from that, I don't blame him. Plus, he's trying to be a mentor rather than a shit talker like me, because I'm a fucking dirty shitbird. Our skulls on my cup proves it. I'm a fucking dirty rock bird. Frank S. Finally caught you live. Yep. It's for my Euro boys. My Euro sausages. My Valhalla sausages. From the overseas. Matthew Randall. You agree the Darkness is surprisingly heavy in analog. Some rippage too, man. And some, like, a golden god up front, with his British look, with those teeth going in every direction. I've loved it. I love the confidence, Christoph S. Yeah, but fragments of Unbecoming do have a modern, yet not too sterile sound. That's not too often the case today. What I find really satisfying is now that everybody were mastering, literally, how to get win the loudness wars, to make your mix sound as loud as possible. As soon as they got really good at it, all the streaming services clamped down on loud mixes and they reduced it to something like -12. So it's like, it's limiting everybody's loud mixes. So it's like doubly compressed. Suck balls. Just checking chat. Bart Nettle, what have I done to try and fix my back? Long term, I made sure my back was really strong. So I do a lot of weights, which strengthen my back. So so that helped. I do a lot of chin ups, and I do a lot of dips because those type of things they actually help decompress your spine. It opens up the all the discs and everything because my own fat ass and legs are weighing me down, so that it kind of gravity takes it. But my current issue, I have to rehab it. There's a few exercises that you can do. One of them is doing laying down flat on your stomach and kind of doing a push up with your arms and like bending backwards like a scorpion and then back down. Other ones are like holding yourself in a dip position and holding and letting the weight of your lower torso lower your ass and everything to open up the disc. Because I had a fucking slip disc to end all slip discs where I literally was frozen in my car for about 30 minutes where I couldn't fucking move. If I moved, it was like being stabbed in the back by Thor. It was fucking. And speaking of Thor, I just saw Thor in the chat. Yeah, so I've been rehabbing it, but the biggest thing you can do is relax. And I did go to the gym today. I went to the gym yesterday. I started going back, so I'm going at like 60%. BFK nerd, is he reading chat? Yeah, I'm behind though. My knees hurt. I've had 3 back surgeries. It's an injury that will probably kill me. My knees hurt. Yeah, I had back surgery, fucked me up more than the actual initial problem. Is all my issues start to post laminectomy syndrome, failed back surgery. We got some how dead is rock and metal when we're all in the chats talking about our bad backs. Juice, thoughts on the new Avenged Sevenfold album? I haven't listened to it. I've never really been a fan, even during their peak. I do respect them though for bringing out a bit of fucking sexy back, you know, into rock and metal, where they're not afraid of letting the girls know what's up. They actually have girls in their videos. Oh my goodness. Rant137, you can't fix disc. You can just rest and take relaxers and let your disc go back on its own. Yeah, apparently what happens is all the jelly in the disc squirts out to the side, and that kind of hits all your fucking nerves and shit. So it's like that. They took the jam out of my fucking donut, put it that way. Holy shit, I was in agony. I've had it before, it's happened to me before, so I know how to rehab it, but it's never happened to this severity where it's been some of the most pain I've ever been in, and I've been hit by cars. I've fractured my skull twice. This pain was like more than being hit by a fucking car, I can tell you. At least with a car, you have a little bit of adrenaline. But nettle seed can cause muscles to not pull on the disc. Yeah, plenty of electrolytes might help it go back naturally. Good info. Yeah, sitting is fucking, it's kicking my ass. But nettle sweat for real. Oh my god, might have to call it a day soon. So now's the time to subscribe before I go away. Luke Starling, we need more Peter Steels in metal. Fuck yeah, we do. Rob. Hell yeah, Luke. Yep. Yeah, speaking of sexy, bringing a bit of sexy back to rock and metal. God, it's missing. The guilt in rock and metal these days, the fucking, the white knights have taken over, the nerds, guitar nerds, holy shit. They're so pleasant, they're so polite, they're so groveling and scraping for shit that they didn't even do, you know? Why would you apologize for, you know, the sins of the emo hardcore era of debauchery that happened when it came to hitting up MySpace chicks, you know? Fucking. And ironically, the period of music that had the most women interested in it was the most misogynistic era of metal and rock. You know? The hair metal era. The Bon Jovi era. So it's like, girls want to have fucking fun too, you know? Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It's a two-way. You need two to tango, you know? Boulders and steel. Personally, to me, rock and metal is very much alive. There will always be those who will keep the music going. Sure, some genres will dip at times, but I search for upcoming ones that do spring up. The problem is, you mentioned the word genre. The problem is the new metal bands are stuck in a genre. They will be a black metal bot. They will be, look at what's happening with deathcore right now. After Lorna Shore went fucking viral. Now there's thousands of guitar nerds. Remember how cringe the how to metal scream videos were back in the day on YouTube? They are making a comeback. So the problem with new musicians is they're Googling how to be metal. They're Googling how to be a rock and roller. And they're all becoming each other. It's fucking embarrassing. It's always been the case, right? Go back to Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath, I think there was a band called, they apparently were the first people to ever do the metal horns. And they weren't a metal band. I think they were called Coven. And this album released, the first album they brought out was about 4 months before Black Sabbath's debut. So not only were they on the back of the album cover giving it one of these, they were also, the first song on the album is called Black Sabbath. So you can still borrow. And then Bill Ward recently put up a picture of him doing that in '69. And I'm pretty sure he got it from that Coven album. Because there's a witchy, you know, it was the guitars were clean, the lyrics and everything else was kind of heavy for the time. So you can borrow from other bands, but now people are just completely copying and pasting somebody else's emotions, copy and pasting somebody else's life experience, and the public don't know. The general public sense it. They don't know why they don't like modern rock and metal, but they can fucking seem to see through fake bands, you know? So yeah, the genre is a big thing. Fuck genres. I'm so sick of genres. What's new, you know? I don't expect everybody to be fucking Voivod or Celtic Frost or, you know, something completely original. Oh, my back. See, I got called salty. Fucking understatement, man. I'm getting angry. I'm literally getting angry. My knees hurt. Am I familiar with Mojo Tone British speakers? It's supposed to be vintage 30s and greenbacks that are broken in. Mojo Tone, yeah, I've heard of them. I haven't had one. I haven't tried one out. Rant 137. Skarnik definitely got a model train collection. Christoph S. Nuclear Blast is dead. All the staff left after it was sold. Now they try again under the name of Atomic Fire. It's a complete joke. Even visited this store years ago. Really? Atomic Fire. I actually follow a couple of the old school metal labels, and they're so obsessed with blackened metal. It's fucking weird. It's weird, man. You swear nothing else exists. Except the end. Go Grind Carcass is better than Melodeath Carcass. Cause Swedes. Yeah, Go Grind was so much fun with Carcass. But they kind of peaked at that. So why keep on going in the same direction? I don't blame the originators for a genre, because Carcass practically invented melodeath, right? So you got to respect that. You've got to respect it. But it's the copycats that piss me off. My knees hurt. I brewed beer for a long time, drinking a kilt lifter ale, a kilt lifter ale right now, 7.2%. 7.2%. Spicy. I had to give up alcohol. So I wanna beat the family curse. My grandfather and my father both died at 56. They're both heavy drinkers. So as a dad of a young daughter, that's currently 51. I got 5 years left. The death clock has begun. I could kill a fucking beer right now, how hot I am. Give me a kilt lifter. Martin Laird. I'm in my own private golden age of industrial metal. Seriously, Ministry set the bar too high there. Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny where the originators of genres like Korn or Ministry, you can't get any better? Who's better than Metallica or Slayer in thrash? The originators, man. It's hard to get better. That's what pisses me off about copycats. It's like, what, you're going to get heavier than Lorna Shore? Good luck with that, you know? And even if you do, nobody's going to care. Oh, my back. Fuck. I might have to give this up. Frank S. It wasn't only the nerds. It was the nerds. It was the nerds. The DAW crew. The VST crew. Fucking polishing their pedal boards. Thinking it matters. Thinking it matters what chip is in their fucking tube screamer. Rant137, you got to make a SoundCloud rap metal to get songwriting back. There is I worked on with a rapper once, and it sounded fucking good. We never finished it because he kind of disappeared, but it was fucking cool, man. Julian, Nickelback is still slapping hard. Julian, I love you, man, but holy shit, how bad was San Quentin or whatever it was? San Quentin. That the recent song. Oh my god, it was cheese. But yeah, I like. It's good to see them making a bit of a comeback on TikTok and everything. How sad is it that a lot of people now would take Nickelback back? You know what I mean? They were the meme for the longest time, and everything is so fucking bad right now. We're like, Nickelback, come back. Everything's forgiven. What do they have? Choruses. Normies loved them. Except the end. Mortician is cool with the drum machine, though. Yeah. I can't argue that. Some of the best stuff in rock and metal's drum machine. Type of Negative, my favorite band, all their albums was the drum machine back in the day. Luke Starlin, bring back toxic masculinity in metal. It works, man. Look at rap. Everybody loves rap. They love the gangster. They love the fucking outlaw music. Now rock and metal is pandering, soft, fucking vanilla sausages. Amen. I always say there's not enough assholes in rock and metal anymore. It's part of the reason why it's died, but also fucking nice. Frank S. I believe a lot of money went into making music more inclusive. So the first thing that went were talented guitarists, and we got alternative. Yeah, the industry is pushing that. Just to be accepted in the Grammy, you need to have a certain amount of minority representation. So I actually searched Circle of Tone and Grammys, or Grammy, and I did a pretty funny video on that about the inclusive aspect of it and how Body Count were nominated. And I took a different track rather than being, people of color representation. I made a joke that it's actually ageism is why they were selected, because he's like 60. So it's nothing to do with his skin color. It's because they want more inclusivity when it comes to grandfathers in rock and metal. Made myself laugh anyway. But you're right. Yeah, so Frank, you are right in that aspect when it comes to, but that's just the industry. You can't keep a good band down. If bands were producing something like, say, No One Knows by Queens of the Stone Age, if somebody recorded that song that wasn't called Queens of the Stone Age, it would grow legs on its own because it's so fucking such a hit. You can't keep a good band down. So it's not just, inclusivity that's weighing us down. It's that whole package of a song that's missing because guitar nerds care most about themselves. You know, can you even hear bass in most modern metal these days? Just even outside of the downtuning aspect, My knees hurt. I spent 35 years riding BMX bikes. That's why my knees hurt. And skateboard. I broke a lot of body parts. My back is the only injury that made me want to kill myself because of the pain. Nerve pain is on a different, isn't it? The most miserable shit in the world. I feel your pain literally right now, right now. I feel your pain. It sucks getting old, man. I honestly think that I got my injuries from taking, um, acid indigestion. Um, I think my bones were more likely to crumble because I was using was it Ohms Parole or whatever it is, that not many people knew back in the day. I was taking it for years and it causes issues with bone density. I think that is what fucked me up, and bad posture sitting. But if I could choose one aspect that fucked up my life, it's probably using those for so long. I can walk, I'm in pain daily, but I can walk. I could not walk before my last surgery in 2020, but I never know if it's going to get worse. It will eventually. Yeah, I actually got scared on this time around when my disc went out. I got fucking scared because I could, if you think like, is this going to be the permanent one? So I feel bad for you, man. You never know. Like you guys in chat that are healthy right now, and your mind is finding ways to be depressed. You have no fucking idea how lucky you are if you're healthy. You know, because then once you're given a real problem that isn't self-inflicted mental fucking wheel spinning, catastrophizing or whatever, it's almost like now my back is getting better, I can appreciate my life more, you know, and getting better as in I'm in pain, but at least I can fucking move around. My knees hurt. Coven is a thrash band from the 80s. There's a hippie band from the 70s. Yeah, it was the hippie band from 1969 I was talking about. Kevin did McDonald's Land Massacre. It's worth checking out. Eggsy, go further back. Rock and roll. Just a bunch of guys with their instruments, amps, backing vocals to add depth. No pedals, no effects. And when effects came, it's just to enhance the sound. Yeah, man. I mean, the AC/DC as the most Moorish albums ever. The most Moorish. Just can't, every time you hear it, you want to drive a bit faster. And it's like, their secret is they play live, they play over the songs over and over and over again. And when they get into the studio, they play together and they play loud. If you listen to isolated tracks from AC/DC, you can hear the fucking drums going in the background. You know, bleed. You got other instruments bleeding. Do you get that in VST land? When you record your guitars, do you hear in the background? No, it's part of the fucking glue. It's part of the I call it chaos theory. It's part of the shit that you can't put into a VST. You know? Yeah, simple simple is better when it comes to rock and metal, and we've gone so technical from every aspect, from the playing to the gear that we're using to the production techniques. It's so fucking nerd city, and there's no blunt fucking trauma, there's no blunt objects, there's no caveman shit going on anymore. It's so the nerds, we fucked it up. Henfer, just seeing if I get your entire point. No young and mainstream acts today. Bands that are truly popular and great are in their 50s. Queens of the Stone Age, Foo Fighters. Well, yeah. Just look at the stadium. If you look at all the big stadium gigs with rock and metal, they're all propped up by 70-year-olds, 70s, 60s. And the young bands couldn't fill a fucking theatre, let alone a stadium. Yeah, people in our bubble, we think they're huge, I mean, even Periphery said that it'd be very hard for them to actually make a living from their album sales. Even they said it. So they have to endorse, they have to do the meet and greets, they have to get on the road. They have, just to make good money, So even the big boys struggle when it comes to, a product, selling albums. I feel bad for Periphery, man. I'm smiling, but they released one of their, I think they self-release now. So finally they're going to reap all the rewards from their sales. My back. And so all the cards now are in their favor, and they released their album, right? They released the first song, the first night to hype their album, where everybody should be talking about them. And it's fucking, what happened? Who died? Somebody massive. Jeff Beck died. Jeff Beck died hours before their big release. So all the guitar headlines, all the guitar media, all the magazines, all of them, their headline would have been new Periphery video now. That would have been the headlines for all of them. And instead, it was all Jeff Beck, Jeff Beck, Jeff Beck, Jeff Beck, Jeff Beck. I was like, oh man, that sucks for those guys. That sucks. Because people like to take the piss out of Periphery. I respect them because they started the genre. Yes, they copied Meshuggah and Sixth a bit, but they did twist it into their own. My problem was with all the fucking copycats. That's my problem with. But that sucked for them. I wanted them to like make money, because they deserve it. Luke Sterling, hard work killed metal. I agree. I think that was the turning point for the obsession with production of modern metal. And the irony is, all the forums would tell you that Vintage 30 is the key, and the G12 T-75 speakers were trash because they didn't have enough mids, and Hardwork was the 75s. It's not the first time nerds getting shit wrong, huh? But I agree. I think if you can point to any one album that killed extreme heavy rock and metal, it was Hardwork. It didn't deserve it, but it's the copycats that fucking killed it. Just checking the chat. My knees hurt. Did Ozzy sing into a fan at the start of Iron Man? I don't know. I think I used to know. I used to know a lot about the production of that era. Yeah. I don't know. Does anyone know in chat? Frank S. Oh, Kevin, I heard that record. Yeah, the record's kind of is all right. It's not a fucking classic, but it was back then. there was a couple of bands um, that were kind of spooky, and they were one of the bands that was spooky because they even mentioned, I think, witchcraft and the evil and stuff like that in the album, and people used to lap that shit up back in the day. You know, it's very Hammer horror type of imagery. You know, if you don't know what Hammer horror is, some classic British horror movies, and basically one of my babysitters back in the day was Hammer horror. I used to watch them all. Eggsy, go further back. Doo-wop rock and roll. Just a bunch of guys with their instruments, amps, and backing vocals to add depth. Yeah, with the doo-wop, a lot of that turned into fast rock and metal because it started to go into surf rock, and the ball kept on rolling when it came to speed and, you know, stuff like that. But yeah. Rant 137. Maybe not Nickelback. I like Creed though. Creed. I mean, there's a big meme going on like TikTok and YouTube of people listening to Creed in a party and going, "Oh, fucking Creed! What are you doing playing Creed?" And they leave the room and then they start singing the chorus like passionately because they fucking love it. They're just in the closet when it comes to Creed. I think a lot of us are in the closet when it comes to Creed. I just like that he was a boozy fucking pill popping nightmare of a frontman. I like that. I don't think the scene has enough assholes, and he was a fucking asshole. My knees hurt. I have a coop possum on the porch. I love possums, man. Oh, my back. Okay, I'm gonna have to give this up, I think. Can I do Covenant Morbid Angel tone next? No, I've done an old Morbid Angel track. If you search Circle of Tone and Morbid Angel. Luke Sterling, Bring Me the Horizon are doing really well. Yep, but they're like 40 now, you know. They're from the CD era. I'm not saying metal never existed, but yeah, if I've said in the past that if there is a rock star right now, it is like them. They are pretty much flying the flag, and they probably could just about maybe do arenas right now. So, but yeah, but they're old, you know. It's surprising they're getting a bit grey around the gills now. All right, my lovelies, my British, European, Aussie sausages. I'm gonna go lay down and cry. I'm gonna do it in a metal way. I'm gonna drink from my cup of skulls and hear the lamentation of the women.